What if you could live forever? What if aging was optional? What if you could be perfect? Meet Bryan Johnson, a tech entrepreneur, biohacker, and self-proclaimed pioneer of anti-aging. A man who spends millions each year trying to reverse his biological clock. But today, we're asking the question no one seems to be asking, which is Bryan Johnson selling us salvation or just faking it all? In the film, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, Brad Pitt portrays a man who ages in reverse, born old and growing younger with each passing day. In 2023, Bryan Johnson cast himself as the real-life Benjamin Button. But unlike the fictional Button, Johnson isn't aging backwards through magic. He is attempting to do it through extreme regimentation, technological intervention, and a very, very deep wallet. According to multiple reports, Johnson spends about $2 million per year on his anti-aging protocols. That's more than 10 times, or no, 30 times what the average American spends on healthcare annually. But before we go further, let's examine some contradictions in Johnson's perfect narrative. Johnson claims his protocol creates perfect health, yet takes over 110 supplements daily. Last time I checked, perfectly healthy people don't need 110 pills to function. Johnson emphasizes natural processes while using some of the most unnatural interventions imaginable, including regular blood plasma exchange with his teenage son, experimental stem cell injections, daily monitoring with advanced medical equipment, and most hospitals don't even have this with them.
Right now is the very first time in human history where you can say with a straight face, you may not die.
Johnson claims his results are scientifically verified, but uses a patchwork of different aging clocks and cherry-picked biomarkers that suit his narrative. The truth is, biological age testing is still in its early days. We don't have consensus on which biomarkers are truly indicative of biological age, and different clocks can give widely different results for the same person. And that gets us to a really interesting point, to his crazy lifestyle and madness around it. Bryan's daily routine is a regimen so strict and complex that it would make a military drill sergeant weep. He wakes up at 5:30 a.m., takes 54 supplements. At 7 a.m., consumes precisely measured green smoothie. He works out at 8:30 a.m. with continuous monitoring. By 12 p.m., he's having a measured super veggie meal. 6 p.m., final meal exactly an hour before bed. And at 8:30 p.m., 33 more supplements. And finally, at 9:30 p.m., he goes to bed in a perfectly regulated temperature-controlled room wearing blue light blocking glasses for 2 hours prior. And that's just a simplified version. Johnson measures over 70 different biomarkers regularly. His bathroom looks like a medical lab. He tracks his erections while sleeping. He measures the firmness of his stools. This isn't biohacking, it's bio-obsession. From a neurological perspective, Johnson's approach raises serious questions. The human brain is basically evolved to handle variety and adaptations and moderate stresses, not rigid perfection. Research shows that neuroplasticity of the brain is the ability to adapt and grow and thrive on novelty and reasonable challenges, not extreme regimentation. The blue zones, or the blue zone regions within the highest concentration of centenarians, show people living long, healthy lives without obsessive protocols. They eat varied diets, maintain social connections, and have purpose. None of them take 111 supplements or measure their nocturnal erections. Do you know where things get a little bit more interesting? In 2023, Johnson launched Blueprint, a supplement line based on his personal regimen. A coincidence that the man tells you aging is optional is also selling the solution. A 1-month supply of Johnson's recommended supplement cost approximately $1,000, making them inaccessible to average consumers. But more importantly, many have limited scientific backing. Many of these supplements haven't been rigorously tested in clinical trials. We simply don't know their long-term effect, especially in the combinations and dosages Johnson has recommended that to us. Is it really science or just clever marketing? Some individual supplements like vitamin D and omega is having some research background and support for it. but taking 111 supplements in combination producing anti-aging effects has got none. Second, caloric restriction can extend lifespan in certain organisms, but Johnson's specific caloric protocol being optimal for human is questionable. Third, yes, sleep quality affects health, but is Johnson's extreme sleep ritual better than basic good sleep hygiene? That's something we need to ask. From an evolutionary perspective, our bodies aren't designed for perfect optimization. Hormesis, the biological phenomena where moderate stress actually strengthens systems, suggests that some variability and stress is beneficial. I'll give you some examples, like exercising helps in controlled damage that leads to strength. Temperature variation improves temperature regulation. Varied diet exposes body to different nutrients and compounds. Johnson's extreme regimentation may actually prevent beneficial adaptations also. And Johnson also claims he's reprogramming his brain, but neuroscience suggests there are limits to this. While neuroplasticity is real, complete reprogramming is largely science fiction. The brain adapts within parameters, but core aspects of our neurology are relatively fixed. And the elephant in the room is the money. Johnson's protocol costs approximately $2 million per year in total, $1,000 per month on supplements alone, thousands of specialized medical tests, custom medical equipment, personal medical team. This makes his approach pretty much inaccessible to 99.9% of humanity. If a longevity solution only works for the ultra-wealthy, then is it really a solution? Not only that, beyond money, Johnson's approach requires superhuman willpower. Psychological research shows that willpower is a limited resource. Extreme restriction leads to increased stress, cognitive load, higher likelihood of abandonment, potential psychological issues. And for most people, Johnson's level of restriction would create significant psychological strain, potentially outweighing any physical benefits. But here's the ultimate irony. Could avoiding death lead to a worse life? This is interesting. John's protocol raises profound questions about what makes life worth living. Is a longer life better? And if it's filled with restrictions? I don't know. Does obsessing over health paradoxically reduce well-being? What's the value of longevity without joy, spontaneity, and connection? What if, after all this sacrifice, Johnson is wrong? Johnson's movement has taken on religious characteristics. Consider the elements: a charismatic leader, promises of salvation from death, strict dogma and rituals, a sense of enlightenment versus the unenlightened, requires sacrifices and dedication, and community of believers. Johnson has even called his approach "Don't Die," a commandment that functions like religious doctrine. So what are we to make of this Bryan Johnson? A revolutionary, delusional, or something in between? Johnson deserves credit for pushing boundaries of self-experimentation, bringing attention to aging research, demonstrating extraordinary commitment. But we must question the scientific validity of his approach, the accessibility of his methods, underlying profit motives, and the psychological implications of this process. If Don't Die is a religion, then Johnson has positioned himself as its messiah. Like other pioneers, Johnson claims special knowledge, promises salvation through following his path, requires devotion and sacrifice. He sells the promise of transcending human limitation. But unlike traditional religions promising afterlife, Johnson's gospel is earthly immortality, making him not just the messenger, but the real living example of the goal itself. Perhaps there's a middle path, one that incorporates evidence-based longevity practices without extremes, like regular exercising, evidence-based supplements, quality sleep, purpose beyond mere survival, and more importantly, accepting some imperfections as part of humans. Bryan Johnson has made himself a living experiment in the pursuit of extended youth. But in his quest to do so, we may ask, has he also avoided living? What do you think about that? Is Bryan Johnson revolutionizing health or selling an expensive illusion? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into health trends and controversies like these.